a good one. Let's start this thing off right. Get our smoke on.
Get our gas out and our smoke on.
Exactly. Gas out. My friend once, that reminds me, one of my friends, he once said that he's like, burps are intelligent farts. And I was like, what does that mean? He's like, they find their way out the right way. You know, they're smart. They're the smart ones. They get out the top.
They come out on top.
Yeah. So like, that's an interesting theory. Burps are intelligent farts. Like they have a brain and they're like, oh, let's go this way. Okay.
It's just a funny thing to say.
Interestingly, he wasn't even a stoner. He was like, I mean, people that are normal are fucking way more crazy than people who smoke. But I probably just think that because I'm high.
You're like, man, you guys are all
like, dude, you
weird.
guys are out of your fucking minds, man.
Hey, man.
You guys are crazy. You live in a world where you're not high all the time. What's wrong with you? I have this friend who, I just had this like flashback the other day where I was laughing because my friend sent me this thing when we were kids in Utah. Like, I had this one friend from San Diego and he showed us how to huff Freon. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but it's like nitrous.
Yeah.
You get it out of air conditioners.
Uh-huh.
But like, he's like, dude, he had this whole scheme. He's like, dude, we used to do this in San Diego all the time. You go to a church, like Mormon churches were where we'd always go. And you get a garbage bag. We take a Glad bag, and it's just like a tire on a bike. You just hit that little thing, put the garbage bag over it, and clamp the end down, and you can fill a fucking garbage bag full of Freon. You know, and we'd go sit under a tree and just...
Jesus.
Whoa, dude. But, yeah, that's probably why I'm messed up as a human being. Someone sent me an article.
At least one of the reasons.
So, yeah, that might be a factor. Let's put it that way. Someone sent me an article about kids huffing Freon the other day, and it was one of my friends who I went to school with who used to do it. And we had this thing, we'd be like, it's free and it's on.
Kids these days. When are they gonna learn?
Yeah, he sent this fucking article though because kids are doing it, and he it was so funny his comment because in the article the kids were like just going up to the air conditioners and like sucking it directly out of the air conditioners, and he's like, these stupid ass kids, don't they know you're supposed to use a garbage bag? So anyway, yeah, that's I think it's funny because the problem, the states or like the metro areas that have the worst meth problems are always like small towns like that where there's like nothing.
Very religious, very boring.
Yeah, there's nothing going on. There's like 8 cops for every person. You know, it's like
half the town is employed.
Yeah,
by the
but it's like
state.
our police officers or like military police or something. And it's like that's totally how Utah is. And I had this conversation with one of my friends the other day because she's like, she's lived in Utah her whole life, and someone asked me why I don't live there. I'm like, because I want to be able to smoke a joint without a SWAT team showing up at my house. And we were laughing because she's like, that's actually not far from the truth either. If you live here, which is sad that in this day and age, like I read something a couple years ago about this guy who had it was a private party, like a rave type thing out in the canyons. Mm-hmm. They literally showed up with choppers and shit and like tank, armored assault vehicles. And like there's video of it too. Like cops came in, like kick fucking hippies down and like boots to their necks and shit. And it's a private party, like out in the woods, not bothering anyone. You know what I mean? Like, but that's the kind of environment that some people live in. We're lucky.
There's actually an article today about the stigma against hippies, but we'll get into that right after these messages about Head Shop Hub.
Yes, Head Shop Hub, one of our to date our first and only sponsor. That's gonna change soon though. But
best sponsor we've ever had.
The best, hands down.
And the best online head shop you could possibly shop at.
Visit, yeah. And their inventory is growing by day. The prices are extremely competitive. I think we've even got a coupon code for you.
Oh yes, we do.
We want to do CBD 11 this time.
No, it's CBD 10.
Well, don't we want to change it every episode so we know?
No.
You don't think so?
No, I don't. I really don't want to.
All right. So it's CBD 10 then. And yeah, I mean, whatever. We don't need to track by episode, but at least we know that if you, or they know, well, we know too. But if you use that code, you get a discount, and we know that you heard about Head Shop Hub from the podcast.
That's right.
So I just got, actually, it's in the mail right now, no joke, a wooden pipe with a topper, like a little clamp. And
Oh, I saw that thing.
those things are nice.
It's
And,
the top is actually like the stem of the pipe.
yeah, so it like folds over. So it's like if you load a bowl up and you're just toking, you could like put it in your pocket and like go for a walk and then light it back up later, or it like stays lit. Those things are cool. I like wooden pipes too. It's a different, like when you're a stoner, you're used to like glass all the time, and you definitely get cleaner hits from glass. But I like wood doesn't get hot like glass does. And it keeps something about it. It keeps the embers burning longer. So you can, if you have a deep enough bowl.
Yeah, right.
It's like Grandpa's pipe. You know like toke on it and just chill and relax and rock.
Just like Grampy.
Yeah. Read the Wall Street Journal and
Get some suspenders.
Yep. Kick your slippers up. Get those sock garters. Those.
Oh, the sock garters.
I want a pair. I wanted to wear those with shorts for a long time, but I could never find them.
It's a lifelong goal.
Those executive sock garters. They're just like the little. Those are so cool.
Sexy almost.
Yeah.
Some might say.
As a man, we need more lingerie type stuff.
That's
like that.
true.
Is that lingerie?
Garters.
I guess it's not technically lingerie. It's like
Man lingerie.
lingerie. Anyway, Head Shop Hub is awesome. Get a pipe from there, whether it's a wooden one. Also, their vapes. We've noticed lately, a lot of our friends that are female like the slim kind pens, and they seem to be doing well with the ladies. So there's also that. They have the vapes as well.
This green one is like a Tiffany green. It's not like a bright, gross green. It's something that anyone could use, but it looks nice.
Yeah, those things are nice. So anyway, that's our shill for the day for our lovely sponsors. What's next on the agenda?
What today's Supreme Court decision means for the future of legal weed.
Oh.
And the Supreme Court made a decision to toss out a lawsuit that could have brought Colorado's legal marijuana boom to a screeching halt.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I saw that. So basically, the neighboring states that are more conservative, like Nebraska or Montana or whatever, North Dakota, I think, something like that, they tried to take Colorado. They basically tried to challenge Colorado legalizing weed because they're complaining that now it's starting to spill over into their states. So they're trying to. So it's a flimsy case at best. And I think what the decision shows too is that how much money now is behind legal marijuana. At this point, it's Colorado has made a killing, really, like on not only just on tourism, but I mean they have tons of money in their coffers now for schools and roads. And
that seems like they knew it wasn't going to succeed, but they felt the need to make this childish claim, maybe to help them win votes, or I don't know.
It could be.
It seems petty.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's also,
I don't like what you've got.
Yeah, well, and it's also kind of like how politics works, though. People are going to try to make a case like that, thinking that it's because it's going to appeal to a certain type of people.
Exactly. It's like,
stupid.
I need to win over this demographic, so I'm going to make a...
So they might know that it's an unrealistic case, but they're just going to pursue it because hey, people are going to... go, you're the guy who tried to challenge that.
He's fighting for the old Republicans.
Yeah, he's fighting for people who don't have any kind of grasp on reality.
Because people who smoke do.
Yes.
We've got all of the grasp on reality. We've got reality in both hands by the balls.
I mean, I think, this is something I've struggled with for a long time, because when you're a stoner, when you're a fucking, especially where I grew up, you're an outcast, right? Like I grew up in Utah, where it's like if you're not a clean Mormon, you're kind of something outside the mainstream, and so you spend your life as a stoner, if you're a pot smoker, with that stigma that you're lazy and forgetful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you smoke pot, so you're lazy and you're stupid and forgetful.
You probably won't get jobs that you want.
Exactly.
Fail out of college or something.
Totally. But the reality is if you're a confident person, it doesn't matter. I think people use drugs and stuff as an excuse, like whether it's pot or alcohol or whatever.
Well, it's the people who sort of go after drugs effectively to burn out other parts of their lives and to, like, you know, forget or cover up like emotional pains or something. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is though, everyone uses drugs to escape, but you would never hear someone say that about like a Vicodin user.
No,
or something.
there's levels of escapism. Like, you can go to the movie theater and escape from your reality for 2 hours, and that's in a really effective way to, you know, find a different reality. But you don't see
don't
like
have to use drugs.
The DEA going after the movie industry because they're like, "Oh my God, you're living
You're
someone else's life.
Reality. You're escaping reality." Yeah, no, that's
Come
true.
back to reality.
No, but it's also we live in such a hypocritical country because the same things, those same kind of stigmas. There are socially acceptable drug habits. You know, like my uncle's ex-wife was a pill addict, like to the point where she was so pilled out she would like wet her pants and shit, you know. But that kind of shit isn't as frowned on as being a pothead.
I believe my uncle drank alcohol to the point where he had seizures, and then now he's being supported by the government because of his mental illness.
Right.
And so now it's just socially acceptable for him to get paid by the government to do nothing because he's drunk himself into an oblivion.
Yeah, see, that's fucked up. But and that's the thing too, like the case that people make against, you know, like welfare or whatever. But I think cases like that are more the exception than the rule, because I know, like, when I was on unemployment and stuff, they check on you. Like, you have to be able to show that you're looking for a job, and you know what I mean? They don't just hand you money every week, you know? You don't just go like, "Hey, give me my government money," you know?
That's not the point of that. The point is,
right,
you know, it's just that was socially acceptable
it's
to the point that the government
to be an alcoholic,
right.
Where like if you're like, "Oh, I'm a pothead and like weed fucked up my life," they'd be like, "Fuck you, dude, get out of here."
They'd be like, "We're gonna use this as a case study against marijuana."
Yeah, they're like, "Follow the Grateful Dead or something, bro."
Follow the Grateful Dead.
Yeah. Or Fish or Dave Matthews or something.
Alright. Well, I'm trying to pull up the next article, but Forbes is showing me crap.
Yeah, they always hit you with those ads. That's how they make their money. But no, I mean, with the hippie stigma though too, it's kind of, you see it right now in politics. It's like with Bernie Sanders, right? It's like, "Oh, fucking hippies think that everyone deserves healthcare or whatever." You know, it's like, no, man. Like, if we live in a Christian country, how can you sit there and? But yeah, it's that stigma I think is the same, because a lot of the people that I think that would support like Bernie Sanders, like Vermont and Fish and all that kind of nice shit, you know, it gets looked down to like hippy dippy. Like even Hillary Clinton, someone who claims to be a liberal progressive, is like, "Oh, your vision is unrealistic," you know. You stupid
While she's got one hand behind her back accepting a check.
Yeah, totally. Like, "You stupid hippies, you can't do that. You can't have universal health care." You know, anyway, I always have to go into politics with that.
Forget about Canada.
Yeah.
Their system doesn't work at all.
Or the UK or Australia or like any other Germany
Norway,
like all these countries that are performing so much better than us. I even saw the business. I probably said this before, but the top countries to start a business in, of the last 10, like Denmark's number 1. Mm-hmm. The U.S. is like 22 or something like that. You know,
the American dream is getting harder.
Yeah, and it's because of greed. And the thing that's crazy to me, the most crazy, and I think what I'm optimistic about is I think most people see this, but it's like capitalism it will eat itself if you let it. Like it needs to have borders on it. It needs to have checks. You know, so it's like we're at a point now where money has bought the government to the point where it now works for business and will let business do whatever it wants, to the point that it's self-destructive.
I think capitalism works if everyone's playing by the rules.
Yeah, totally.
And leaving a free market free, but eventually someone's going to develop a monopoly and shove everyone else out.
Well, and so what has happened now is there's legalized monopoly, you know, and it's not even really monopoly as much as it is manipulating policy to your liking, where it's like the people who, for example, like the oil and gas industry regulate themselves essentially. They appoint the people because of lobbies and stuff, and they, you know, and revolving doors in government, they appoint the people or control the people who are effectively are supposed to oversee them. You know, so it's like that's the thing. It's like
side topic.
Yeah, all the corporate politics shit.
My girlfriend is working on a show about conspiracies right now.
Oh, sweet.
And so we're doing research into this guy, Reinhard, who predicted the 2008 collapse to the day that it happened. And he points to this group called Legatus, who is a Christian organization of CEOs, so high-level CEOs who meet with the Pope.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, they had done some sort of string pulling, so that way it was revealed on that specific day that the banks were performing, I can't remember the exact word for it, but basically, you know, giving people money that couldn't get paid back.
Ah, it's so messed up.
And so then that was just the you know, the piece of hay that broke the camel's back.
You know what you just reminded me of on the conspiracy front, and if they haven't checked this out, you should. So this is totally legit. There's this guy who wrote this book. I'm trying to remember his name, but he used to be on Rachel Maddow all the time, and it's called like The Church or The Front or something like the Group, or what's it called? Anyway, basically there's this house in Washington. It's like called C Street. And it's where all these religious conservative cats, it's almost like a fraternity,
right,
for religious conservatives in government. It's called C Street. And so basically all these guys are connected through this, and it's this crazy, like the guy's like crazy connected to like weird groups like the KKK and like all these old world things. But they totally groom like a bunch of the guys, and I don't know how many more people are in it still, but like the guy from Oklahoma, Tom Coburn, was involved in it. And there was this scandal going on a while back that they were covering in Nevada where, I can't remember, the guy's name is John Ensign. He was banging like his staffer. Do you remember? And like his staffer's husband, they're a couple that worked for him, and he was banging the dude's wife. And so basically this guy, John Ensign, was connected to this conservative group, and like he had like that dude Tom Coburn like doing like apology tours and stuff for him, and like the whole time they were just showing like, look at this is how connected these guys are, and like how they all it was pretty interesting.
It's so easy to say there's no way that these people are getting together in secret meetings and pulling the strings of America.
Yeah, you're crazy.
Yeah, like no, it's impossible. And then you know you find out that
then you see stuff like that,
like groups of CEOs who get together.
Of course. I mean, think about it. This is what you have to do. You have to be real. You have to go, listen, imagine myself if I'm in a position of power where I have all this money and power, and I want to keep it, like, and I want to, like, I'm gonna coerce with people like me, like-minded people, to make sure that that no one fucking gets mine, you know, like that I can keep as much of this as possible. Of course, it's human nature. Like, I don't fault those people for it either. You know, it's like it has to happen.
But it'd be nice to have less of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is, like, listen, it's like I was saying earlier, capitalism will eat itself if it goes too far down that path. You know what I mean? Where it's like once like it's already happening kind of. The reason the economy works is because people spend money. The people who are making the most money right now don't spend money into the economy. They hide it in banks offshores, or they reinvest it in bonds or whatever. So it doesn't ever make it like. If you're any economist worth their salt, is like the reason that our shit sucks right now is the middle class doesn't have money to spend on shit.
It's all going to weird places like arbitrage, where it's just like you're getting money off the top of labor that's just sort of appearing because you're adding markup things. Yeah.
Basically, the downfall of our economy right now is that so much money has shifted into the investment class that there's not enough money at play in the actual economy, goods and services economy anymore. You know what I mean? And like you can see it, the strain. I mean, a lot of people can feel it, where it's like you don't have money to buy extra shit, but that's the shit that creates jobs, not people fucking hoarding money in bank accounts and, you know what I mean, bonds and stuff. And I think like the Reaganomics era, it's just been proven so wrong. It's like almost like a fraud in a way. When you look at it, you're like, wow, people believe that shit? Like, especially after the last, you know, the Bush administration and all the shit that went down then. It's like, wow, they just basically played the trickle down card to the core, and at the end of that, it was just buildings
Disaster.
collapsing and like everything fucking falling apart. So. Yeah, and did you see the article about the guy from who Wall Street was based on? The guy who, Wall Street, like Michael Douglas, the movie.
I didn't see it, but
Okay,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I honestly, it's not something that I've really watched closely either. But the character is iconic because he's like, greed is good, whatever. Supposedly it was modeled after this guy whose name is like Asher something or whatever. And that guy came out in support of Bernie Sanders, and he actually kind of said that. He's like, it doesn't take a genius to look at the economy and see what's going on right now. So much money has been funneled out of the middle class that there's no spending power. We literally need a check and balance against that, and we need someone to put more money back in the pockets of the middle class for the economy to start growing again. And that's like the greediest motherfucker on Wall Street saying that. So even Wall Street recognizes like, hey, if we want to make money again, serious money, we have to give money back to the middle class.
Yeah.
So anyway, we go with
I don't know how we got that deep in.
It's all right. That's what we do here.
We keep going.
Yeah,
deep,
we dig
always.
deep.
So next article, America's 2015 marijuana sales higher than Dasani and Oreos.
That's pretty crazy. I mean, does it have the numbers on there? Like what? How many $1 million does Oreo sell worth of product every year?
Oreo, 711 million. So it looks like.
Wait, so they sell 700? That's how much product they sell in a year.
Right.
$700 million.
So it looks like Dasani made about $1 billion. DiGiorno made about $1 billion.
That is fucking crazy.
Girl Scout
Bottled
cookies.
Fucking water. It's like I've seen studies that shit is tap water. Dasani, like they're basically just bottling tap water and throwing it on a fucking rack.
Yeah, for $1 billion.
Holy shit.
But these are just, common brands that you'd see in every market across the world. Maybe just across the U.S. for some.
Whenever I think about bottled water, Salt Lake actually, as crazy as it is, Salt Lake is a progressive bastion. I mean, it has to be. It's in the middle of Mormonville. Like, it's the metro of Utah, right? So their old mayor was this guy, Rocky Anderson, who debated Sean Hannity at one point. Mm-hmm. And I remember this quote. He's like, it might not have even been Anderson. It might have been the governor, but no, I'm pretty sure it was Anderson. He said, bottled water is the biggest scam of all time. Something like that. He's like, it's the biggest scam ever perpetuated on society.
I'm sure he's right.
I mean, think about it. Like, all Dasani is doing is bottling shit you have already in your tap and creating a fucking huge amount of waste.
I think someone
from Dasani is gonna like come and find me and like poison my food or something.
I think so, yeah. But I
Well,
don't
we're
know
on conspiracy
which business it is. It might have been
Coca-Cola
one
owns
of
them.
the Coke, underlings.
Yeah, Coca-Cola owns Dasani for sure.
But there was an issue recently where they were pulling water out of Sacramento, where there's a lot of farms. And,
to bottle it?
Yeah, to bottle it.
Oh my God.
And so it was like they were greedily taking money out of this industry that was feeding the world, because California does feed a large portion of the U.S.
The 8th largest economy in the world, man.
It's huge.
We're a giant state.
Pulling water out of this drought wrecked community.
That's fucking crazy.
Just so they can make this $1 billion.
See,
a year.
and that speaks to where we went earlier, where it's like capitalism will eat itself. It doesn't care. Like, people say, corporations are people. Yeah, mindless, soulless people who care about nothing but profit. It's like, who have no moral fucking compass whatsoever. Like, will just murder everything in their path for profit. Like, and that's the thing, is it's like, I love capitalism more than anything. I think it's the best system of economics in the world. It's proven to be. You watch American Genius and you look at the stuff that America, like the United States, has fucking perpetuated. Television, the automobile, flight, the iPhone, Google. Like, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. It's the best economic system, but we have to not be naive and not think that, you know, it doesn't need checks and balances just like the government has, you know?
Yeah. It's hard to find greed, though. People like to cover that up.
Yeah.
All right.
No, greed is good to an extent, but not to the extent that it's fucking self-immolating, you know? It's like, okay.
Self-immolating in that it's affecting the country that you live in.
Killing you and everyone else. It's like, okay, guys, you have how many billions in the bank now? Maybe it's time to let up just a little bit, you know? Like, we're not trying to take all your money away or anything, but, you know, maybe feed some, like, that's the other thing is it's like, I see people talk about, how can you make all this money using the goods and services and the roads and the everything that the U.S. economy offers and not invest back into that? That's so fucking criminal, you know?
All right, so we've got another article here. As coal prospects decline, a Colorado town reconsiders marijuana. And I think that just comes down to they're running out of one natural resource and they need another natural resource.
That's how life works. I mean, you know, like with print, it's a great example. My grandfather worked in fucking at the Des Moines Register like his whole life, like in the print department and like ran print presses and made sure the paper got printed on time and all that stuff, and it was like his livelihood was built on it, and he retired with a pension from it. But print just it's not an industry that's viable anymore, really. I mean, maybe in small doses, or I'm sure there's sectors where I'm wrong, but overall it's like it's a shrinking industry, you know. So it's like that's just a reality you have to deal with.
I'm sure there are a lot of shrinking industries now.
Oh, there's a ton, but there's also growing industries. There's a lot of growing ones.
Hint.
Yeah.
Hint.
It's a matter of growing ones.
Green growing.
Yes. Growth like plants.
Green like money and plants.
I mean, it's just a matter of you have to evolve with the times. Some people want to cling to what they already have, and it goes back to the old change fucking mantra. It's like change is inevitable, so you got to deal with it one way or another.
All right, so the next one, let's see. 600 U.S. churches call for an end to the war on drugs. So, a group of more than 600 churches has joined a small but growing movement within the religious community to call for an end to war on drugs through legalization.
Smart.
And that's really because the war on drugs is hurting a lot of people.
Well, it's also been a huge failure.
To people, here's a quote. I don't see what the quote is from, but it says, "To people of color, the war on drugs has arguably been the single most devastating, dysfunctional social policy since slavery."
Yeah. Oh, it's like the new Jim Crow. And when you look at the numbers of... See, and that's another thing, not to go back to politics, but it's another reason why a lot of people don't like Hillary Clinton. The Clintons and her, she takes money from private prison, and private prisons flourished under Bill Clinton. But, yeah, I mean... With the religious stuff, too, it's cool to see, like, I saw this picture of the Pope, the new Pope, the other day, washing and kissing Muslim refugees' feet, you know, and I thought, wow, that's what, I think that's the kind of, that inspires me. That's the kind of shit that, like, I'm not religious, but I'm like, that's the kind of shit I want to see religious people doing, not this, like, fuck refugees and whatever, like, they're terrorists, and so.
It's such a good movement forward.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it should be. And it was actually a Mormon, I think, who shared that picture on Facebook of the Catholic Pope, you know, doing that. And I was like, wow, that's interesting.
It's, in my mind, church is sort of the quintessential, like, rule maker or sort of,
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's
a tradition.
It's a moral compass for a lot of people.
Yeah, and
who
so
wouldn't have one otherwise.
The fact that they're changing and adapting,
evolving,
is just good.
We talk about evolution a lot on this show, and it's definitely a huge evolution. Like the Catholic Church, I mean, I like this guy a lot. Like he's even said good things about gay people and just been more accepting of atheists even, and just people who question faith and stuff. Like he's a guy who the Catholic Church definitely should keep it going in that direction, because that's a guy who inspires people. Like like I said, I'm not religious, but when I see that kind of behavior, it's inspiring to me. I'm like, wow, there's a guy who's really got a good heart. You know?
That's exactly who he should be helping, is people without faith. Because
completely.
If you don't need to be preaching to them, you just need to
lead by example.
Yeah, exactly. Lead by example.
That's what Jesus would do. Says the atheist.
WWJD.
Yeah. No, I like that Pope a lot, though. He seems like a good guy.
Yeah. He's doing all the good stuff.
He's definitely helped recover the image of the Catholic Church after that whole boy touching stuff. That was horrible.
And unfortunately, South Park episodes are down in quality by 84% since the new Pope.
They don't have as much material.
They have about half
I think they took a season off. They're like, well, we can do 10 episodes about Donald Trump, or we can...
Now that the church stopped screwing up, we're in trouble.
We're out of stuff to cap on right now. Yeah.
Now that Kanye is...
South Park could do a whole season on Kanye. Kanye, that's an interesting character too. I like it. I think he's a talented producer, but I'm not a big fan of his rap stuff. I think he has a couple okay songs, but I'm not that impressed.
I'm not a big fan of his Easy stuff, his fashion stuff. He's trying so hard to make it happen. He's investing millions of dollars
leather
in
jogging
putting himself
pants.
in debt.
I laughed my ass off when I heard about that.
Leather jogging pants?
He was talking about that on Howard Stern, I think, I think it was Howard Stern. I can't remember who told me about it. But he's talking about these leather jogging pants. He's like, who brought you the freshest leather jogging pants? And I'm like, leather jogging pants? Who the fuck is looking for leather jogging pants, man? What world do you live in? But apparently people are. So, I mean, now the shoes thing I get. Like, that's such a hip-hop thing. Like, where he has, I think he has a deal with Nike where he's making, Yeezy fucking shoes or whatever. Like, all the basketball players, all that shit. I think that's dope. You know, because that's such my Adidas and shit. Like, that's such an old school fucking rap thing to have your fresh kicks, you know. But this whole leather jogging pants thing, it's like, man, Kim Kardashian got into your head, bro. Leather jogging pants? Where the fuck did that come from?
I think he was jacked up before then. If you go to Yeezy and check out their website, you can barely see the products.
Yeah, it's like... Well, I mean, there is something to be said for that, So I was reading about I'm going off on a tangent here, but I was reading about Dre's headphones. Fucking, it escapes me now. Beats by Dre, right? So the article I was reading was basically about how Monster Cable, which is basically the cable company that Dre supposedly, and this is allegedly, they strong-armed Monster Cable into a contract that basically left them destitute, and they made millions and millions of dollars, maybe billions. I think they sold it to Apple now, so Apple owns it now. But so they made a flipping killing. But one of the parts of the article that I thought was the most interesting was they said that the reason that these headphones were so successful, because they're geek headphones, basically. They went you know what? We're gonna get a big problem with headphones is the cable that the music travels through. It's shitty most of the time and low quality. So they went and found, and they're smart. They're like Dre's a smart fucking dude. He knows audio. He's a producer. He went and found the best possible cable company. And I knew Monster Cables because I'm a guitar player, and they're the best guitar cables you can get. If you buy cheap guitar cables, they short out, they shred. You know, if you're playing gigging a lot, you know, your shit shreds and it gets ruined. Monster Cables, they have a lifetime warranty. They never go bad. So anyway, the point was the reason that Beats were so successful was because of the marketing. Because Dre and Jimmy Iovine, who runs Interscope, could have like Lil Wayne and fucking Rihanna and like all these celebrities go, hey, Beats by Dre.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with the fact that they are really, in effect, awesome headphones because they're made with all the best components.
I've heard that they're not that great.
I mean, now I'm sure the quality is shitty because it's different now, and I don't think Monster Cable's involved anymore. But initially, honestly, I've heard music on some. Dude, they are great headphones for bass, like for rap music, for stuff that you want to hear like a wide range of bass frequency. They were revolutionary for that, and a lot of people are copying them now.
Some people have pulled them apart, and they've got like weights at the top, like they'll just stick in a weight. Just because like the components are so light that it just
and listen,
cheap.
I don't have a pair of them, so I'm not like I can't speak on the quality of them now. But based on what I read about how they were conceived and created, it seemed like a very smart. And I've heard music on a pair of them, and this was a few years ago. But they were incredible. They sounded great. I was like, wow, these are really killer sounding headphones.
All right, so news. Try to keep us on the news.
On the news again.
Vets get free marijuana in Colorado Springs to fight pain and PTSD.
I mean, for real, that they should all get it. Like, let's start a campaign: free weed for all veterans. Period. Full stop. If you did a tour of duty in Iraq or Afghanistan or Syria or yet, I don't think we put troops in Syria yet. Libya, I don't give a shit. You get free weed on the government. Period.
Yemen. Just gonna throw that one in
that's
there.
the next one.
I think we have people in Yemen like that we're not supposed to know about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I always kind of dug the whole covert shit. I'm like, yeah, you know what? The U.S. has to we got to do our shit, and we're gonna fucking make sure we're winning no matter what, wherever it is. But people don't have to know about it.
It's like, hey, our troops are right here.
Yeah, it's like.
Here's the exact
we kind of have this plan. That's why I think sometimes I think Obama's been really good about that, where he doesn't talk too much about what he's doing, but the shit that he did with Putin, it blows me away when I see conservatives praising Putin. I mean, that's when it comes down to clear racism for me. It's like you're obviously just because our president's black and he's a white guy. To me, that's how I see it. Because if it was anyone else, you're praising a communist fucking dictator over the president of the United States.
I think a lot of people like Putin though. He's like a strong leader type.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, he rides a horse without a shirt.
That's true.
That's pretty
great meme. Great meme knowledge there. But this article, I think it's especially important because I don't think PTSD is considered a reason to get a medical marijuana card.
Wow.
It's not considered an illness.
Well, it flippin' should be, because if you've ever known a veteran who has been in active battle, that movie, that's why that movie The Hurt Locker was good, because it kind of shows... man, this guy's in some intense shit. And then he goes back to the United States and he's in the supermarket and so
he can't handle it.
He's like, this sucks. I was you're adrenaline junkie at that point. But just even my dad had PTSD. My dad saw this lady get hit by a car, right, and killed and run over, crushed right in front of him. He had to go to therapy for that. That was one lady. Imagine being in the fucking throes of battle and just seeing people getting mowed down or blown up and shit. It affects you, And I think if anything we should do as a society, we should take better care of the people who are willing to risk their lives for us, regardless of what you feel about the policy. Those people deserve the best.
You see those support our troops stickers, but then as soon as they're not, actively serving anymore, you just drop them.
You use as fucking political footballs. They never actually get... again, not to go back to the Bernie Sanders shit, but I was reading a thing the other day. By far, the senator who's put forth the most legislation to help veterans of any...
Bernie Sanders?
Yep.
It's just insane that it's so hard for them to get jobs, and a lot of homeless people you see are holding up signs saying, I'm a U.S.
Most homeless, a large percentage, I think probably a majority percentage of homeless people are veterans, or at least mentally ill. Yeah, I shouldn't say that because I don't know. I don't have any facts to base that on. I'm just pulling numbers out of my ass. But whenever I run into homeless people, a lot of them are veterans.
Same.
So
That's just personal experience.
yeah.
Actually, in the past, 6 months, I bet every one of them has been a veteran or like a family member of a veteran.
Yeah. And that's fucked up.
All right, so Hawaii lawmakers passed resolution to determine safe THC levels while driving, and I don't know how we haven't done this before. Like,
Yeah.
this is basic research.
Though this is funny because I don't know if I told you, but I had a personal experience with this where I'm not going to go into details or name names, but I had a personal friend who I had a personal issue with someone complaining about me driving my kids while I was high. And I'm like, well, first of all, it's none of your fucking business. But second of all, right after that, this article came out on CNN that actually said, hey, we tested stoned drivers. They actually drive more carefully when they're high.
Sure, it's like if you're a little
Because
paranoid,
you're like, exactly.
You're gonna be, super focused.
So I kind of used that as ammo in my argument. I was like, see? Stop fucking around. It's not like I'm drunk.
I'm not sure if they found some sort of resolution or if they've just started testing. And like when you see news stories, do you see them include that? Like you'll see accident on the 405.
Driver was stoned.
Yeah, driver had a blood alcohol level.
It's so hard to tell, because pot is it's not like alcohol. It's like, it's in your bloodstream for God knows how long after you smoke, and the effects are different on people depending on For me, it's like I'll be kind of buzzed for like an hour or two, but then it wears off. Whereas I think some people might be able to be like, wow, I was like buzzed for like 3 or 4 hours, 5 hours,
I think if you smoke a lot for a long period of time and then you cut off, there's still some stored away in fat and things like that that you eventually have to get rid of.
No, I believe, but yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, how do you gauge that? Like that, this thing that scares me about that is it's like all of a sudden cops just start throwing that in as an extra charge where it's like, oh, the guy had some weed, so I'm just going to say he was stoned too.
Right.
And there's no way of really verifying that, like factually, and going like he was this stoned at this time.
You can't really do like a breathalyzer. How do they test it now? Do they just shine a flashlight in your eyes?
Oh, I had this cop one time do this silly little light test on me. He was just being a tard, and I was like, I mean, when you're dealing with a cop, you do what they say,
Uh-huh.
So I think he just knew I was stoned because I was doing stupid shit that he was asking me to do. I'm like, okay, do this. But what was funny about that situation was all they could do was give me a speeding ticket, really. Oh, you just hit that. Yeah, it's all good. There's a
They can give you a speeding ticket?
Yeah, basically, the guy pulled me over for speeding, and I probably smelled like weed because I blazed a giant joint earlier, but I didn't have any weed with me. So it was funny because it was like even the cop's partner was kind of like, man, you're barking up a tree that's not really worth barking up. You could tell. He had me like sit on the curb and like went through my car with the flashlight because he actually said this. He goes, sometimes people say they're medical, but they're just smuggling. I'm like smuggling pounds in my car.
You look like a smuggler.
Yeah, totally, dude. You go crazy. He was a rookie. He was probably trying to impress his boss or something. Anyway, but the only way I think he could tell he had no way of verifying that I was stoned other than he was waving a fucking pen in front of my face and making my eyes follow it.
Yeah, right. That's the test. Which I'm sure is super effective.
Have you heard the Bill Hicks bit where he's talking about that? He's like, say the alphabet backwards. He's like, say the alphabet backwards. I can't even do that sober.
Right?
And then he's like, what the fuck do these guys do? He's like, stick your dick in the tailpipe. That's what it's like. Okay, sure, officer. Does this work?
Does this work? Okay, I think I'm in. I don't feel anything
I can't get hard. It's kind of cold, and there's people looking at me.
Do it, maggot.
You will get hard. Oh my god.
Oh, this is it, man. This is the article. Confirmed. Nixon's war on drugs intended as strategy to attack anti-war left and black people.
See, I've known this for a long time. I don't see why this is a shocker.
But it's been confirmed as they went to go interview the Watergate guy, the one who originally got in trouble and sent to prison. And I don't remember his name right now, but he was basically like, yes, that was the plan.
Yeah.
Was to use marijuana to get rid of the hippies who were opposing Nixon and his Vietnam and things.
Yeah.
And then cocaine to get rid of the black leaders. That's basically what it came down to.
That's crazy. And it's so funny too, because we're at a point now, right, where we have a president basically who listens to rap. Like I've seen Obama talk about Lil Wayne and like Wheezy and stuff. Like he definitely knows. But what's crazy about it is like all that shit in the 80s, like that Chuck D was screaming about, and like all these militant rappers were screaming about how like cocaine was a fucking conspiracy to fuck with black people. It's all true.
Like we've been shoving these people off for the last 40 years.
Everyone in those days was like, those fucking crazy druggy black N-words, blah blah blah, public enemy. You know, no, they're fucking right. Like if you all those rappers, like it's so funny, man. It's just a different time. I think I'm glad that I was thinking about this the other day, right? So do you remember Howard Dean? Back in
yes.
You probably weren't that into politics,
no,
but
I wasn't,
so
but
in
yes.
2008. Howard Dean was the Bernie Sanders candidate, really. He had, like, the same people that are working for Bernie Sanders right now were working for Dean.
I remember
you know what
him.
happened? He did that yell. He, like, got excited at a campaign.
The scream that doomed Howard Dean.
But the thing is, like, it was the media, really, that killed him, because the media turned that into, like, wow, he's weird, that's nutty, like, no real candidate would do that. You know what I mean? Where it's like, now, I think I was thinking about this today, because I was watching the news and there's no mention of Bernie Sanders, but now that we have like Facebook and Twitter and stuff, there's a different level of communication where it's like, I think if Howard Dean had done that today with Facebook and Twitter being as prominent as they are, people would have gone, "No, the fucking mainstream media is trying like they're doing with Sanders." If you go on any like MSNBC or CNN comment, you can see the bias for Clinton. You can see they want, and every commenter is like, "You guys are fucking full of shit. We know you're bought and paid for." There's like comment after comment. You know what I mean?
People know about paid articles.
People are wise to all this shit. Yeah, so it's funny. It's encouraging to me because I was thinking about that. I'm like, why did Dean fail? Really, because of a media narrative that he was.
If I look up Dean, what the fuck is his name?
Howard Dean.
Yeah, Howard Dean. It's like the first 5 articles are like the Dean scream.
Yep.
It's the scream that doomed Dean.
Completely.
Like, it's totally wrapped
It became
around him.
a meme, and it's like I can see them trying to do shit like that with Sanders because I have this friend who's a Clinton fanatic, and like, dude, they are throwing all kinds of shit. I saw this article the other day. Look at Bernie Sanders told his wife to get behind him because his wife came and said something, and he was like okay, like kind of like nudged her off because he was speaking to people, and that like they're literally trying to take this little like 30-second piece of tape and make it like this guy's like, look at how dismissive he is for like the sexism shit, and you know what else are they throwing, like, oh, the Sanders praised the communist guys in Cuba and stuff, like they're running with that, like look at what a socialist but none of that shit holds any weight because all of us are talking about stuff like this online, you know, like this Nixon shit. Like, look at how Nixon used that shit to defame the hippies. Like, how could what's going on now be much different than that, you know?
Yeah, and so we've been talking about stigma a lot. This is just really where the stigma blew up.
Yeah.
Although, you know what? We had slaves in the 1800s. And then in the 1960s, there was a big revolution against, you know, how they were being treated. But then we just created this drug policy to keep treating, you know, black people poorly who were investing in the campaign or cocaine.
It carries over to the way that like police work goes. I mean, look at the police shit that's been going on. And again, I say this all the time because I think 99.9% of all police officers are great people who are trying to protect and serve and do good work. But the guys that get on TV, like the dudes that shoot these black people, there's not enough of a police outcry to say like, no, that guy is bullshit. You know what I mean? It is this ingrained where it's like, no, he's black, he's like, I can shoot him. Where it's like, even these guys in Colorado who go in and shoot up a whole theater are taken alive. Like, the cops don't just trigger fire on that guy who just murdered like 10 people in a theater. Where this black kid with no gun gets mowed down and everyone's like, oh, it's totally cool, he was a thug, you know? It's so obvious. And again, thank God for technology, because how much of like Sandra Bland and all these things that have happened recently, Eric Garner, and how much of this people know, like, how this has been going on for years, and we're just now starting to get footage of it.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if people are still talking about Trayvon Martin.
Yeah,
that was a year ago or more.
Trayvon, what was he's the guy who Zimmerman killed, right?
Yeah.
There's another guy, Mike Brown.
Mike Brown, that's right.
What was the other kid's name? Tamir Rice, the kid in Ohio.
Rice. These are the biggest cases.
These are just the ones that we're talking about. Yeah, so on that note, man, and there's a guy, Kwame Brown, I think is Kwame Brown. So during the fucking Michael Brown thing, when Missouri or St. Louis was protesting and there were riots and shit, this is all on video. This kid, his name's, I think it's Kwame Brown. I'll have to verify it, or we'll have to Google it, but this kid I firmly believe what this kid did, and Rachel Maddow is where I saw it. She actually ran the footage. I firmly believe what this kid was doing was sacrificing himself to show people how easy it is to get killed by police. He goes into this fucking convenience store, and this is all on video, steals 2 cans of soda.
Okay.
Coke cans, has a knife, like a little pocket knife, goes outside, sets the Coke cans down, and just starts walking around. 2 cops show up, fully vested in a thing. Put the knife down. He's just standing there. He doesn't like get submissive at all. Rather than like go at the kid and tase him, tackle him, and cuff him, they just unload on him. Both cops, boom, 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 shoot him. The whole thing takes about 90 seconds. Cops roll up. Kid's got a knife, 2 stolen cans of soda. Put the knife down. Doesn't put it down. Ambulance called. Cops leave. Good 90 God. Seconds is how fast I think it's Kwame Brown. It's Kwame something, but like
how
look
do
up.
You spell Kwame?
Kwame, I think. Now I'm gonna have to look it up because it's fucking crazy, man. And no one talked about that because Kwame Brown.
I got a professional basketball player.
That's the basketball. No, never mind. I know it's Kwame something, so now I don't want to give out false information.
Yeah, Kwame Brown. No, just kidding.
Laquan.
No,
Brown. That's not it.
No, all right.
Okay, now I gotta find this guy. Kwame police.
Okay, I found a BuzzFeed article about a timeline of unarmed black people killed by police over the past year. This was published in 2015. So we have Dontre Hamilton, Eric Garner, John Crawford, Michael Brown, Ezell Ford, Dante Parker, Tanisha Anderson. Oh my God. There's so many. Akai Gurley, Tamir Rice. This is just black males too. I'm sure black females are also going through similar issues.
Kajimi Powell. Fuck, I'm such an idiot. Kajimi. So it's Kajimi Powell. So basically, oh my God. Kajimi Powell. So you spell it Kajieme Powell.
Mm-hmm.
And this footage, like, guy shot 10 times.
10 times?
So here's the thing. You can see the fucking store owner. He sets the 2 cans of soda on the curb. The guy's basically committing suicide by police. It's obvious. And the thing that blew me away about this video, I mean, go watch it.
Yeah, I'm watching it.
They do not even hesitate to murder this kid. Not even for a second. At no point. And I don't know if it was the press conference for this guy or Michael Brown, but one of the reporters asked the police commissioner, the chief in St. Louis or wherever, like I think it's Missouri, St. Louis is the major metro area. They go, do your officers have pepper spray and tasers? And he's like, excuse me? And he's like, do your officers have pepper spray and tasers? And he's like, yes, they do carry that. He's like, the next logical question is, do they ever use it?
It's so this guy is like walking around maybe 15 feet away from the officers, and then he hops up onto a ledge and he's just sort of walking around on this ledge.
He does not represent a threat to them.
He's like That's meandering closer. And then
cops could have just, like, he's obviously a disturbed kid, right? Like, it's so fucking sad, man. And that's.
What are they doing with him? They're flopping his body over.
Like, all right, we got you. He had a knife. Let's go shoot some more black people. And what's sad is that, so with the police thing, it's like most police, I think, should just come out and say that is horrible. Those officers should be punished. Like, but what happens is cops get defensive and try to stick by their own, and then I think they look even worse. It's like, no, man, like you should not defend that. That guy, the Darren fucking guy who shot the Michael Brown, when Obama said something about it, like all the conservative people came out and defended him, and it's like, no, dude, like that's horrible. That, like, now you wonder why you got guys like Donald Trump shouting racist shit at your followers and they all love it. It's like, you guys perpetuate this stuff.
These comments are disgusting. People are just tearing them apart for not putting down the weapon and for basically trying to commit suicide.
It's so sad. Well, we're almost at an hour, man.
I think we've got some fun stuff left. Just some pictures.
Sure.
Oh.
I just don't want to bore people to death.
Everything plastic can be made from hemp. And plastic made from hemp is biodegradable.
Wow.
And if you're thinking
hemp
about
polymers,
plastic, like those water bottles or whatever, there's so much more plastic that we don't think about, like in our cars, in trash cans, trash itself. I mean, this microphone that I'm using right now is plastic. My computer's plastic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was just going through my garage trying to sell off stuff the other day at a garage sale, and I have so many old toys and stuff. It's just, and old electronics, old phones, old computers, old monitors.
It's never gonna degrade.
Yeah, it's horrible. I'm like, I want to sell it off, but I also just want to like make sure it doesn't just go in the dump,
Yeah.
But.
So that's a fun fact. Hemp. 1 acre of hemp produces 300 gallons of oil, 3 tons of protein, and 30 tons of fiber per year. Hemp also makes paper, biodegradable plastic, fuel solvents, lubricants, industrial textiles, building materials. No wonder it's illegal.
I was just thinking that. It's like, people wonder. That's what Bill Maher was saying, back to that argument. I'm sure I brought it up last time, but it's like, with gay marriage, like, no one stands to lose money by gays getting married. With weed legalization, it's a different story. I mean,
this would hit so many industries.
I wonder, like, when we go back to that thing about earlier we talked about how like the states were trying to challenge Colorado. It makes you wonder how much of that is big business lobbies in that state going like, hey, we need to do something to like go after this because it's going to cut into our, like, like a great example is lumber, right? Like lumber mills, people who sell like trees or wood or paper, if that stuff becomes like a legal trade where anyone can grow it and like use it to manufacture, I mean, that's going to hurt them substantially. So
I wonder if animals can eat hemp. Like, if you have good grass-fed beef, it's like this nice yellow fatty texture that ends up getting absorbed when you cook it. It's just like, I wonder how that would be if you had, hemp-fed cow, because this
That'd
is
be
a lot of
interesting.
protein and fiber.
Yeah.
That's like all you need to feed a bovine or horse.
Right. No, that's definitely interesting. I wonder what the quality of if the quality of meat would be different too, because, marijuana is also it opens your blood vessels. It, like, I don't know what the word is for that, but it like
Yeah.
it basically expands your blood. That's why your eyes get red and shit. So it might make the meat even like more like
Tender, big,
just better,
allow
like-
for more growth.
yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. And we don't know any of this because it's all been
Illegal.
shunned and illegal.
Thanks to Nixon trying to get the hippies.
Oh man, look at this picture. This is marijuana under a microscope.
Oh, crazy.
It looks
Those
like a
crystals.
fairy world. Like,
Yeah.
like some place where fairies would live.
Those crystals, man.
It looks magical.
It does look majestic. Like even just like really dank buds, like when you just look at them without a microscope, you're like, oh wow.
Beautiful.
Behold
And
the,
I think
the glory.
there was someone who studied how crystals would form with like vibration, like good vibrations, that kind of like hippie stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like there's a Japanese guy who would put like bad words and good words in front of water and let it freeze, and then the good words would be like perfectly formed, beautiful crystals, and then the bad words would have like disgustingly shaped, jagged edges, and just like really trash crystals that would form.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wonder if this is like there's something quality about this.
Yeah.
And how it forms.
Oh, definitely. I wonder what kind of factors go into that. We should probably start cutting it down though, because we're already over an hour.
All right. I think we're done.
Yeah, and I won't go into the details, but sometimes once these files get real big, they become more and more difficult to deal with. So I like an hour. Plus, I don't know how long we can keep these fuckers' attention. It's like, all right, these guys are getting bored.
Already left. Already left.
These people are like already binge watching fucking something on Netflix now. So, all right, well, let's wrap it up then. We talked about a lot of good stuff today, and check out our sponsors, headshophub.com, for all your vaping and smoking needs, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.